do you, and I mean, this could go both ways, but to the panel, do you object to a man not wanting to date a trans woman? Do you think that would be transphobic if a man did not want to date a trans woman? Starting with you, we'll go around the panel. Go ahead.
I don't think so. I don't think it would be transphobic.
No, and any trans advocate who says that it is like a psyop there to make trans advocates look bad. I don't think it's transphobic at all. It's perfectly fine to have genital preferences.
Okay.
Same.
Pixie?
Everyone's allowed to have whatever preference they want.
Okay.
I agree.
Yeah, I basically agree as well. I just think it's preference.
Concur.
Okay. All right. Fair.
You don't need to know my answer.
Now, how about this, though, to kind of take it to another layer? You know, dating apps are incredibly popular. Most people are meeting online nowadays, on dating apps, social media, whatever. Do you think that somebody's trans, whether trans man, trans woman, do you think they have a duty to disclose, for example, on a dating app, a duty to disclose that they are trans? And if so, at what point should they? You know, for example, should it be on their profile, during messaging, before a date is scheduled, on a first date, second date, before intimacy, after intimacy? Any thoughts on that, starting with you?
Personally, first off, I hate going first. I get a little nervous sometimes.
Yeah, no, it's tough. You're in the hot seat.
I'm in the hot seat, but I don't mind. Well, personally, I feel like they should definitely before intimacy, definitely, and also maybe even before like they start building an emotional connection. Because if you want somebody to really accept you and love you for who you are, you should, you know, be honest and come out with everything. That's what
Aaron,
I think.
Any thoughts?
I think that they should, but for that trans person's own safety, not necessarily for the benefit of anybody else. And as far as I know, most trans people already willingly disclose this because it's obviously something that's going to come up very quickly in their dating life. So,
I mean,
but I have a
why
question
not both? Porque no los dos.
Well, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Do you think people should disclose their race
Should they disclose their race?
on a dating app?
I'm not totally sure how that's relevant, but I think, isn't there race to some degree?
Race or ethnicity?
Evident.
Race /
A bit.
ethnicity.
Like, should a mixed person say that they're half black?
What? I mean, I'm not really understanding the
that-
question, but
Which part?
well, if they should disclose if they're half black.
No, I'm asking if you think that like people should disclose like race, ethnicity, like if you are half Chinese or if you're half black or anything like that.
No, I mean, this is not a topic I've really given thought
Erica
to, but here, I'll
Charlie's
let this-
wife donated $200. I love you, babe. I'm so
Dear
proud
boss.
of you and so blessed to be your wife. Great discussion.
Is that actually Erica?
She's very busy right now.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you.
you,
Maybe
whoever that is,
Erica.
or
Okay.
Erica.
All right. Wait, what's that? Is it?
Yeah,
It's her. Oh, okay. Hey, Erica. What's up?
That's cute.
W's in the chat for Erica.
That's cute.
We love
W's
you,
in the
Erica.
chat.
But you haven't given it much thought, but what's your
Sure.
gut reaction?
Should they disclose? Well,
Race, ethnicity.
I'm wondering, I'm thinking, I'm not on any dating apps currently, but I do think on Hinge, for example, there might be a section to, and I'm trying to recall if there is something where you can actually put your
I think
race, like
there
if you're
is.
Native American, if should somebody have
Yeah,
to?
but should they?
I don't think so.
Why not?
Why not? I think it's a bit different, though. I mean, it's certainly
It
different.
is different, but I think that kind of hesitation is kind of what you articulate from, like you're articulating perfectly what trans people feel like. Is that I know that they will
I think
do
it's
it,
a little
but
different,
that
though.
hesitation
I think
is
it's
like why
quite
they shouldn't have
different.
to.
I think it's quite different. But what I would like to allow everybody else to answer the question. So,
I forgot the question. What? Oh, if they should
like
disclose.
disclosure at what point should it be?
I think they
upfront?
should only for like. I mean, obviously the safety of them. I think.
Okay. Well, and
Yeah.
maybe also for the benefit of the
Well,
other person.
yeah,
although
of
it
course,
seems like
but-
Aaron, you object to. You don't
Well,
think
I
there should be
think-
any benefit to the person on the other side.
I think
mean-
there will naturally be a benefit to it, but I don't think you're entitled to know that information any more
You're
than you're
not?
entitled to know their race. Not starting off from the dating profile. I think eventually, yes, sure.
Well, if somebody, I'm trying to think.
In the
I'm
same
trying
way,
to
like the
think
race
how to
ethnicity
tackle-
thing
how
was
to
like,
tackle that, but I think that can be very readily apparent just by
Yeah.
looking at their photos.
or like sexuality, for example, because you can't tell someone's gay or bisexual.
well, there is
right?
a on Hinge, I do believe you can specify if you're straight, if you're bisexual.
But
Is it a
they
red
have-
flag if they don't do that to you?
No, not necessarily, but I mean, even I think on your end, I think you're, and actually I do think on Hinge there are these filters, and I do think you can include, I don't know if it's your skin color, your race, or whatever. I think it is your race or ethnicity. You can list it, and you can also filter by it. Same with sexuality too. There's certainly not something there for your actual sex, though. There's no. I mean, you can put your gender, but we know that. Well, that wouldn't necessarily indicate
That could be
what the
inclusive of
person's-
trans people.
Yes. So. Oh. Did you answer the question?
Kind of.
Okay, Pixie, did you have something?
Yeah,
on
I
this?
basically was just saying, like, for the safety of them, I guess, yeah.
Okay.
I was gonna say you should, but only if you're like thinking about this person as like somebody who you're seriously gonna date. I see it similar to like, for example, like political orientation or whatever.
Sure.
Where it's like, this is another reason why like I'm also not a big proponent of hookup culture, because it's like I feel like when people hook up, they're just hooking up. There's no necessarily like set of like morals or anything to follow like beforehand very much, because it's like a very casual encounter. People don't feel like they have those duties for each other.
Charlie's ex-wife donated $200. Hey Charlie, you better not be edging to Sophia or Angel right now. You've been looking a little too much. Anyway, see you later, babe. Exo kisses.
Do these make you uncomfortable, or you just find them funny?
I think it's hilarious.
Okay.
Okay, good. Because I was like, oh shit, is okay. Cool.
No, I got worried too. I was like,
No,
They're spicy
Guys,
tonight.
I live on the internet. I've seen a lot.
Okay, cool,
A lot
cool.
of things.
So
Thanks for being a good sport. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. Go ahead, Pixie.
yeah, so I'll try to wrap it up. Basically, like, if I'm on a dating app and like looking to hook up with someone, I would never, like what I said before, like someone who's a super hardcore Republican, I would not want to sleep with them. But they don't have necessarily an obligation to tell me their political orientation unless if I explicitly asked. So that would be kind of on me. But if I'm gonna start dating that person seriously, then it's like, oh, okay, like, yeah, we should talk about our values and be like open and transparent with each other. So
Okay.
that's my take.
What about you?
I agree as well, yeah.
With who? With her?
With both of them, yes.
Okay. What about any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think it should be disclosed for sure. If not, like in their bio, within the first few messages, I feel. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's fair.
Yeah.
Molly?
I agree. It's definitely something that should be disclosed very early on in the relationship. I was going to say put it in your bio, but then you mentioned safety, and I was like, oh, that's a really good point. So, like, obviously you can't tell someone what to tell them about or to tell you about themselves. But if you're dating someone, you kind of have, like, a moral obligation to
Be honest.
be honest, be your most authentic self in front of them. And I think it's kind of deceitful not to tell them. I would feel like my time was wasted if I
Okay.
showed up to a date and they didn't say anything.
Sure. And I think probably most trans women they disclose up front, most of them, although I haven't, when I was back on the dating apps, I did encounter, someone was actually quite, on Hinge, how you can have prompts and answer prompts. Someone seemed very very political in their answers, and I forgot exactly what, but they were trans, and they said it's nobody's business to know if they're trans, which I thought was interesting. But I do think it should be disclosed pretty much as soon as possible.
When you say encounter, it sounds like you're like Pokemon hunting and you found like a rare Pokemon or something in the wild. What about religion?
There's also
There's like a category.
you can put religion on there.
Do you think that people should you have to identify yourself as a Christian or a Jew or a Muslim or atheist?
No, I don't think you should have to, but I think it's certainly very different. I would imagine, I think somebody might feel a little bit more bamboozled if they turn up to a date and this person's actually a male, as compared to someone omitting their religion.
Religious convictions are very personal. Like Charlie was saying,
Sure,
you
but-
probably would not date somebody who is not also an evangelical
Right,
Christian,
but it's
right?
a bit more of a bamboozle, I think. Like, if it's so important to you that you go on a date with somebody who's your same religion, I think there is some burden on the person who really cares about that they should ask. And if the person omits it from their profile, I do think though,
Then why
it's a
can't
different
that be,
bamboozle.
like,
It's a
the
bit of a
soci-
different bamboozle.
It's different, but like, is it different enough to warrant a different social protocol? Is all I'm asking.
I think so. I think so.
I think the deal
so.
breaker should, or you communicating the deal breaker should lie on yourself, basically. If something's a deal breaker for you,
Yeah,
I
maybe
think
you
it's
should
your
have to put no
responsibility
trans
to say
people in
it.
your bio.
Honestly, you'd probably. I feel like
I've
on a
seen
lot of
it.
these dating apps, you might get banned if you were to even in the most diplomatic, polite way, if you were to say that. I do think you might get reported and banned.
Because even on, this is Grindr, so this is like gay men or whatever, but there
Grindr.
were men putting like no Chinese, no Asian people. That's why I made the comparison between race. I don't believe that they banned those,
Okay.
but it's a prevalent thing within bios to see that sometimes on those profiles. And
Yeah, but
there you go,
Grindr is a
you know?
very like hookup app.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Well, I think most of these apps are hookup apps, unless if you.
But hold on, you said the Chinese thing. Like when you say Chinese, do you mean like are you all like specifically Chinese?
That's an example of what Grindr was seeing in their users, that people were saying specifically no Asian / no Chinese or like no Japanese. They were specifying specifically by ethnicity.
Because there's different kinds of Asia. You know, there's
Yes.
there's Thai,
Korean, there's Chinese,
Vietnamese, Laos.
No, yeah, well, these racist people to me were
Indonesia.
like going so far as to specify specifically
Malaysia.
which Asian ethnicity.
Mongolia,
You can keep going.
It's a beautiful
South
culture.
Korea.
Yeah, so many.
North Korean,
Well, that's why they did Asian,
Japan,
but then
China.
When you say
China.
Philippines.
Taiwan. I
you
missed
list them all?
Philippines. Are you Filipina?
I am, yes.